The Ladies European Tour's back again in Scotland for one of the biggest events of the season. We're on Scotland's Gulf Coast Road on the southern shore of the Firth of Forth in East Lothian on the links of Gullen Golf Club. 2 weeks ago, this picturesque town in the east of Scotland was hosting the world's best male pros. Now it's all set for the 16th edition of the Aberdeen Standard Investments Ladies Scottish Open. A year ago at Dundonald Links, we all looked set to welcome back one of the game's greats to the winner's circle. But Carrie Webb let slip a two-shot lead with 3 to play. And taking advantage was Mi-Hyang Lee. The Korean had been 9 back heading into the weekend, but walked away with the trophy with superb golf in tough conditions. This year, the field is even stronger. 10 of the world's top 15 are here, alongside some of Britain's best. European Solheim Cup stars are also in town, with some of the most recognisable face in the ladies' game from the USA. And the champions from the last 5 majors are all here amongst a stellar cast, battling it out for some much sought-after silverware. A very good afternoon. Welcome to day one of the Aberdeen Standard Investment Ladies Scottish Open, an event co-sanctioned between the LET and LPGA Tours. We've got a fantastic field on a very fine golf course, and I'm Richard Kaufman alongside Alison Whittaker. And Alison, conditions pretty testy for the players who headed out this morning.
It's classic links golf at its best. You know, the golf course that the players have had for the last 2 days in the practice round is completely different today, which is what Scottish golf is all about. The wind has swung around. It's now out of the south. So those bunkers that weren't in play yesterday and you walked right past them, they're right in the landing zone today. It's going to be a fun test of golf.
But it's lovely and warm, as you can see. Beautiful blue skies, the Firth of Forth, hardly a ripple on it. But as we said, testy, windy conditions, so scoring maybe not as low as if we'd have had the same weather this time yesterday. But some decent scores out there. This is Bronte Law, 23-year-old from Stockport, and a second season on the LPGA Tour, Alison, and she's been in good form.
And she's got a killer record as well in the Curtis Cup. So if she's getting off to a hot start here this week, she might be a player to watch. Loves playing golf in this part of the world. And seems to be at home as well. That was on the 18th, and just a little tap in there.
7 straight pars to finish with a round of 68. This is Jenny Shin. 25-year-old Korean. Ali started with a bogey, but sometimes they say the best rounds start with a drop shot. This was case in point.
Well, she started with a bogey, and that was her only bogey of the day. And that approach shot there into 18, setting up a bit of a difficult birdie chance off the slope. There's a little ridge in that back section of the green. Big mover from right to left. But it was nicely done en route to a 5 under par, 66.
One of the smoothest swingers around, Amy Yang, the world number 27, although that swing got her in trouble off the tee at 18. This was her 3rd shot. She was 6 under par at this stage.
Well, the story of Amy's year has been round number 1 and number 2. There's a 2.5 shot difference between her scoring averages in the first 2 days and the last 2 days. So again, if she's... Oh, that one's just for par. So she did drop a shot on the final hole, but if she is in the mix, it's a scary sight for those other players on the golf course.
So a 66, matching a fellow Korean. Now here's one of your roommates for the week, Mo Martin.
I would never count Mo Martin out on a links golf course. Her game is absolutely built for this style of golf. She's obviously first in fairways, so she's great with strategy off the tee, but she's also 4th in scrambling, so she doesn't give too much back to the golf course.
That was only birdie though, the back 9. Level past 71, solid start. And here's the defending champion for next week, the Women's British Open champion of 2017, In Kyung Kim IK, saving par at 17. You were saying to me this morning, even though, you know, a lot resting on her shoulders next week, you think she might even be out to defend that title, and she's shown that here today.
Well, it certainly wasn't a fluke. I really do feel like last year at Kingsbarns, she worked out the formula of links golf and spent a lot of time practicing on uneven lies in the lead up, and that a great approach shot into the 18th, setting up a birdie putt, but she's just a cruisy character.
This was for a round of 65 for IK. Not to be, but another of the Koreans shooting 66. Remember, par 71 here. This is the 25-year-old from Germany, Justine Dreher, who went out in 31, double bogeyed the 10th, but here at 11 gave herself a chance to bounce back.
A very attackable par 5, so there are a couple of scoring opportunities, especially with the wind coming out of the south today. It does make 11 a real birdie hole, if not an eagle hole. That was a birdie, in fact, for Dreher, but yeah, nicely done.
Fifth birdie of the day, and here seemed an unlikely one to make it birdie number 6 of the round. This at the 12th, par 3, beautifully judged. So Dreher maybe an unlikely contender near the top of the leaderboard. And this is how things stand as we speak. 3 in at 66, all from Korea. Carolina Lund, the 19-year-old from Norway, in with a round of 67. Despite a couple of bogeys on the back nine. Jung-Yun Lee has had birdies at 10 and 11 to get to 4 under par, but she's alongside two of the big hitters here, Charlie Ho and Sung-Hyun Park, the PGA champion of just a few weeks back, the world number 2 with an eagle at the 5th. I can only assume she drove it. Bronte Law we saw there along with Leanne Pace. Dreher in the end, we saw her get to 4 under, shooting a round of 68. Laura Davis, great start she's made. Of course, her first time teeing it up since becoming the US Senior Women Open Champion. She won that by 10 shots. Tiffany Joe, a couple of birdies to start her round, and Daniela Jacobelli actually started eagle birdie, but not quite carried on that kind of form. There she is at 2 under par. So birdies at 5, 6 and 7. Charlie Howe about to tee off at the 8th. Full of confidence, Adam.
As she should be. She's having a fantastic year. Hasn't missed one cut for the entire season, Charlie Hull. So she's really found some consistency that perhaps her game had been lacking a little bit in previous seasons. But look at that view. Plenty of selfies out there on the 8th tee, as there should be this week.
Yeah. There you are, 5 birdies. She did drop a shot at the 3rd. Charlie's very amusing. You should have heard her in a press conference the other day. She doesn't really concentrate too much on golf when she's not playing it. She was asked if she could name any of the players at the top of the LPGA ranking. She said she didn't even know where she was.
No, she was surprised to hear, I think, that she was world number 25 at the time as well. So
teeing this up over on the right-hand side, is that because of the flag position?
Definitely. Well, this is an interesting hole. It plays well downhill, the 8th, and realistically, you only need to land it within maybe even a yard or two of the front edge and just let the ball release. The green does run from front to back, and the pin over in that back left section today. 146 yards, really anything around the 130 mark will keep on rolling, as you can see there. A little bit more difficult with the wind off the left to that whole location as well. But plenty of putts back up the hill towards the tee.
Now here's Dame Laura Davis. This at the 9th hole. Been a very good front 9 so far. She's judged the pace there excellently. Spoke to her yesterday. She was feeling very confident about her game, as you would be after what she did a couple of weeks ago, but not necessarily easy to pick it back up again. But she came here and felt like she was striking the ball very well. No birdies yet today for So Yeon Yu. Maybe one coming up here at 8. She dropped a shot at the 4th hole. So 1 over par for the world number 4. Her first event since the one that got away. the Women's PGA. The woman that beat her has got off to a fast start, hasn't she, Ali? Sunkyun Park.
Yeah, not too shabby. She's been working hard as well, currently 4 under par.
Talking of one that got away, Ladies Scottish Open last year for this lady.
It was hard to watch, really, because I think so many people were craving a Kari Webb win at Dundonald Links. Chipped in on the 14th hole for a late eagle, provided so much drama, and then just fell by the wayside at the end.
Just off the back of a drop shot at the 7th hole.
Just such a firm green that really anything on the front edge, it is the most severe slope, so though at the front of the green as well, so it'll keep on kicking forward.
We really have been spoilt by the players that are in the field this week. Of course, it's the Women's British Open next week, so many have come to well, get a little bit of links practice as well as try and win an event that's pretty prestigious in its own right.
Georgia Hall, one of the players that benefited from the 1-2 punch of the Ladies Scottish and the Ricoh Women's British Open last year. That one just tugged a little bit left, but 8 of the 10 players from the Ricoh Women's British Open actually played the week before last year, so it really is a fantastic preparation week for these players.
Yeah, the men were here, of course, a couple of weeks ago and had a lot of low scoring, but in terms of conditions today, Ali, I would say only really comparable to what the men faced on Saturday. So, I mean, the scoring and what we had, that close to a 59 from Brandon Stoney, came so close, 20 under par, but the way the weather forecast is set out for this week, you wouldn't think the ladies are going to get anywhere near that mark.
Well, I mean, realistically, they had reasonably benign conditions for the men's game, and this golf course has baked out as well since then, so you can see that 8th hole, how much that released. So it is a completely different golf course this week.
Now the rough isn't long, but it looked like it sat down a little bit, this one for Georgia Hall. We'll have a look. 388 yards this ninth playing today, and she's judged that pretty well. Obviously coming from the rough, not able to get the grip.
And the 9th hole, a real scoring opportunity for the players, and there are a few of them out on the golf course, but a little bit of relief, you could say, off the tee, at least in the practice rounds. Those bunkers weren't in play. They won't be in play again today, about 196 yards into the wind, however, but that's not an issue for the majority of players in the field this week. So really anything down that left side will release it a little bit over toward the right, but Canberra does kick the ball toward the right-hand side to a pretty flat green, really, by Gullen standards.
Charlie Hull, only the 2nd hole. She's parred so far this afternoon, I should say.
It's interesting hearing Charlie talk about links golf and how she hadn't really done so well on it when she was growing up. In amateur days, it always kind of pulled her unstuck a little bit, but she says she's a much more mature player now, and I think she's got the measure of it a little bit more.
Yeah, Charlie just with a par at 8. Anna Norquist just birdied it. So last year's Evian champion, back to level par. Of course, she couldn't play here this time last year, suffering with glandular fever. Somehow she picked herself off her bed. Top 10 at the Women's British Solheim Cup. Star, Evian win.
Beware the sick golfer or the supremely tired golfer in Anna's case.
And the talented one.
Yeah, not to mention that. Spent a lot of time inside the top 5 in the world's rankings.
Here's a former world number 1, Eira Jutanagan, right down the throat of the flag there. can see they've numbered the flags. Can you see that? 6th of 54 is that hole.
We're going to have a calculator
I know.
in here all week. I hope it's
to...
got a lot of buttons on it, honestly.
There we are. Make maths count. It's an initiative from the Scottish Government, the local council as well. Did this last year too. Trying to rack my brain, see if I can work them out. Not much up there, unfortunately.
To get back to level par for Kari Webb.
Decent try. She's playing a kind of limited schedule this year, Alison.
Yeah, and you know, she has every right to lay back a little bit. She wants to spend a little bit more time at home and at home in Queensland as well. So she's been carving out a little bit more personal time this year, and given her resume, she's allowed to.
Yeah, listen, but it's only her 7th event of the year, so it's difficult to know what kind of form she's in heading into this week.
I know she's staying in a house with Sarah Kemp and Hannah Green this week, and apparently they've been getting woken up by the chickens. Would you believe it? Some country farmhouses around.
So tomorrow's early start will be okay.
That's it. That was a good read there by So-Yeon.
Struggling at the start of the year, So-Yeon Yu. But form seemed to be turning around, but just wonder how quickly she can put to bed what happened at the PGA Championship. One of a number of winners on the LPGA Tour this year. In fact, there's only a couple of players, aren't there, that have won twice.
Yeah, we just so happen to have both of them in the field this week as well, Sung Hyun Park and Eri Jutanagan.
I'm glad that little boat's not in the way of that big one. Charlie tidies up. Britain's highest ranked player, Charlie Hull.
Did she know that in the press conference?
She didn't know, no, so someone told her. In fact, she was asked about Brittany Lincecum playing last week as well. She goes, oh, she played last week? I thought that was next year. She played on the PGA Tour, I should emphasise.
I think every person on the LPGA, minus Charlie, was aware of that. There were so many tweets going around, and what a great performance it was from Brittany.
Now, you mentioned Georgia, of course, doing so well last year. Not just here, but doing so well at the Women's British Open as well. Finishing in 3rd place.
Oh, and a nice effort. Well, when she teed it up this morning, her last 2 holes, well, she went birdie-birdie to start, but then her last 2 holes from last year were birdie-eagle finish to get inside the top 10.
Blind tee shot for the players at 9. So normally the wind's coming off the sea, off the Firth of Forth. So where's it coming from now, Ali?
It's into off the left on 9. So really, when you're looking at the ocean, it's kind of off your left shoulder, if you will. But it was directly opposite for the first 2 days.
Well, the first 2 days in the warm-up to this, that's the prevailing wind.
Yeah,
so.
Out of the north, well, the west, northwest, I should say.
So it's, it wouldn't be surprising if 5 under does lead at the end of the day, even with the calibre of players we've got out there.
Well, this is where intelligent practice rounds comes in handy, when you're not just looking at where your ball's going, but where your ball will end up if the wind does switch around a little bit. To get under par, Anna Nordqvist. She had 3 top 10s in her last 4 starts on the LPGA, so starting to find a little bit of form that was maybe lacking toward the first half of the year, only by her lofty standards, of course.
Still, I mentioned the windy conditions. None of the players, I think, complaining with the weather right now.
No one's complaining about anything this week because no one would listen to you if you did. We're being so well looked after here in Gullen. It's such a quaint little town as well.
And it's great for the players to be playing these kind of conditions as well, like the men had at Carnoustie, like they had here at Gullen the week before. Brown fairways, fast running, bouncy. So this for Area to turn in 33. Remember, past 71 when the men were here a couple of weeks ago, and sorry to keep referencing them, but I'm sure there's some of you that watched the Men's Scottish Open as well. They had a past 70, it's past 71 for the ladies. Flag blowing, and this is a lady who knows this course very well, been a member of Gullen, Katrina Matthews, since she was 12 years old.
I believe she won the Scottish Amateur here as well, long time ago.
Of course, she made a big announcement this week as well about her vice captains.
Yes, Catherine Imrie and Suzanne Pedersen. I believe she's going to announce one more captain as well toward the start of 2019, but it's great for her to have Catherine, who's been a helper of the Solheim Cup in previous years, many previous years, in fact, a Scottish player herself, and she'll be getting some very honest feedback. They're good friends.
Oh, wasn't the smoothest looking putting stroke from Georgia, but it goes below ground. Such a good start. Disappointing front nine in some respect for Georgia. They're level par. No big damage done though. And Dad's on the bag, I see, this week. The boyfriend's got the boot. I mean, as a caddy, not as a boyfriend, though.
Yeah, no, Harry's still around, but she wanted her dad Wayne on the bag again since they did so well together last year. This time last year. So she's a funny character, Georgia. A little bit superstitious at times.
So Harry's just on a sabbatical, then, is he?
He's making the sandwiches in the morning, I think.
Sand really flying up into the face of Laura Davis. Done pretty well by the looks of things to get that one working its way down towards the green. This at the 427-yard downhill 10th hole. Back towards the sea.
If it hadn't gone in that bunker, that would have gone on the green as well. So unlucky a little bit off the tee, off that right-hand side.
Yes, Area goes out in 34. Just to give you an idea, 6,480 yards this course playing for the ladies. It was 7,133 for the men.
I don't think Area even looks at the yardages anymore, does she? It doesn't matter for her.
Well, in a way, the yardage doesn't really count either because of the way the golf course is playing. You're getting run of what Lydia Ko was saying, she hit her longest drive ever.
347 yards.
Yeah, and that's with 80 yards of run.
Yeah, it's presumably downhill, downwind, and out of the centre of the club.
Lydia Ko, by the way, out on the course. She's 1 over at the moment. So 5 under is the mark so far. 3 Koreans managing that total. The Women's British Open champion, In Kyung Kim, alongside Jenny Shin and Amy Yang. What a day it's been for Carolina Lund, the youngest player in the field, the 19-year-old from Norway, at 4 under par. Charlie Hull and the Women's PGA champion, Seung Hyun Park, also on that mark at -4. So only one adrift, maybe a chance you would think for one of those players there out on the course going so well to top the trio at the top. this at the ninth hole. Carrie Webb finding the right-hand rough.
Yeah, with the wind in their faces off the left-hand side, everything pushing the ball right. This could chase up. Not a bad place to leave it, at least. Not used to seeing Carrie Webb as a brunette. It's a new addition. This is very unsocial golf. Down the left-hand side for So-Yeon.
She seemed to hand a little bit playing that one. Maybe a little bit of firm ground. Of course, this time last year she was the form player, So-Yeon Yu. She was the world number 1. Now number 4 in the rankings.
It's been the musical chairs at the top of the world rankings, I think, really for the last 18 months.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out whether there might be a change at the very top. Say if Sung-Hyun Park, who's one off the lead right now, if she were to win this week, whether she maybe would go to world number 1. After that very nice tee shot from Katrina Matthew.
Pretty sure she's staying at home this week as well.
She definitely is, yeah. I mean, she lives 5 miles down the road. So that's not in question.
Two-time winner of this event, but when it was held all of maybe a kilometre back towards North Berwick at Archerfield Links.
Well, she won one of them by 10 shots. Confirmation of the three-way tie that we have. Opening round of the Ladies Scottish Open, and we'll see this a few times, I think, over the next couple of weeks. A long way off the green, but Laura Davis taking the putter out. Look how well she's done here. That's pretty good.
So we've got a blonde Michelle Wee and a brunette Carrie Webb. People have been busy in their off weeks.
It's going to be back-to-back bogeys for Michelle Wee, 3 over par already. So from the aforementioned blonde to brunette Webb. And that's nicely judged.
It's interesting, really. Around Gullen, you only have 2 options. There's not really the option so much in links golf on this course in particular to kind of bump and run it. It really is kind of a high shot, or you keep it low on the ground.
Oh, well done. And this is the difference for Laura this year. You know, she came second on the LPGA Tour. And she won, obviously, a couple of weeks ago by 10 shots in that senior US Open. It's the putter. Before the last few years, she really struggled with the putter in hand.
Well, she'll be the first to say that as well. She always says she feels like her creativity with ball striking and her actual ball striking is just as good as it's ever been, but the putter in hand. But what an injection of excitement into the women's game when she did win. She's just such a fun player to watch.
What's that, 85 pro wins now for her? It's been an incredible career. Just the 2 so far for Charlie Hull. 1 on the Ladies European Tour, 1 on the LPGA.
And about 45 second place finishes. At least on the LET. That was a nice run.
Well, didn't she have 5 in a row, didn't she, at one point? Before she won.
It was a question of when, not if, for Charlie. This one will help the putting stats, just off the green.
Well, I was about to tell you this is one of the things she's been working on this season, her long putts, trying to be more aggressive with them, but I'm glad I didn't say it before that putt, because that would have been a very poor example.
It's interesting with So-Yeon, when you look at her stats, usually she's inside the top 10 in previous years in things like greens and regulation and the ball striking stats, but amazingly, the only stat that she's inside the top 10 on the LPGA at the moment is the Rolex Player of the Year points. So clearly she's not that far away. If there's a stat you want to be in that top 10, it's probably that one, though. The one that counts.
Yeah, listen, she's had a win this season, but by her standards, it's been a fairly quiet one. So you're new turning in 1 over. This for Kyrie Webb to do the same.
Now they move forward to 10, which is, given the win today, a real scoring opportunity, and 11 as well.
His area at 10.
Her ball got held up on that right rough. If that had missed that right rough, it would have continued almost 80 to 100 yards forward. It really is fiercely downhill.
There's a bunker over there on the left-hand side. She's found that. What an excellent front nine. That, I think, equals the best we've had so far today. Out in 31. From Charlie Hull, only Justine Dreyer earlier on this morning managed to match that total.
Talking about the Pink Panther, Paula Creamer, when you look at this time last year, that was what really catapulted her year forward. Monday qualified for the Ricoh Women's British Open, ended up being the emergency for the US side, got into the Solheim Cup team, so lots of good memories.
Yeah, what a round that was, though. Anna Norquist against Lexi Thompson. Obviously, if you haven't heard the news, Lexi decided last night to withdraw from the Women's British Open, saying she needed a bit of time to rest, so we wish her the best in that. She will be missed, of course, Lexi Thompson.
It's one of the hardest things in professional sport, is to sit out a tournament, let alone a major. Second shot here for Anna Norquist. That's pretty nicely done. Not one of the longest off the tee, but that ball has rolled down in excess of 300 yards for Anna. Georgia Hall yet to come in the bunker, which is probably one of the trickiest bunker shots in the game, has it roughly around 50 yards to the hole.
Now, here's our first look of the day at Sung Hyun Park. This is her approach shot at the 9th. 2 birdies and eagle so far. She's got that to turn in 30 shots. Statement of intent already from the player that her fellow peers call Nick Tiger. That's her nickname, isn't it?
Well, I mean, when she's playing well, she is electric on the golf course. You know, you can never count her out to not win, I think, each year, even when she was having a little bit of scrappier form earlier this season. Now, all of a sudden, she's one of the 2-time winners.
Yeah, I think it might have a different look across the Firth of Forth tomorrow. The forecast is for some rain maybe coming our way.
So we're not going to be able to see the other side tomorrow, maybe.
Maybe not now. Georgia, how close to the face is she here at 10? Digging one out. Couldn't get enough on it to get it to the green.
Well, she's in the bunker, but she's hit the perfect drive off the tee. Really, anything up the right half of this fairway, given it does kick right to left, and just watch that. That is going to keep on going. Better rake that bunker fast, I think.
Yeah, 427 yards, and that bunker down the left is 44 yards short of the green. The one on the right, 79 yards short of the green.
Now, they probably aren't aware back on the tee that they might almost be able to hit this group in front. I mean, it'd take a very good drive to do it, given that Georgia's also hit out of the bunker to here, but it wouldn't be far off.
Now, we saw Laura Davis 2-putt from around this region, and you saw a ball there just missing the bunker down the left side, so you were right about that.
Teed it up in the Gary Player Invitational on Monday, and then made the trip up here to Scotland on Tuesday morning.
Paula Creamer for birdie at 8. In a tough couple of years for Paula. Injury, missed about 5-6 months from the end of 2017 to the start of 2018. Changed her swing as well. She's got a Scotsman coaching her now in Kevin Craggs.
Who's based at Archerfield Links, I think, just down the road, the aforementioned Archerfield.
So I'm sure she's been doing some work with him this week.
He's had a pretty good stable of players. He's worked with Katrina Matthew, worked with Mel Reid in the past as well.
And his area out of the bunker.
Pretty tidy stuff, an uphill putt coming up for par. All the way down the bottom of the hill. A few players said that they were surprised by the amount of elevation. Michelle Wee, one of them, she thought it was going to be a flat links course, and then realised otherwise when she was walking up to the 5th green and the 6th tee, which is the highest point on the golf course.
Yeah, it's very different to, say, last year's venue, Dundonald Links. And, of course, keeping the theme going with the men's and ladies being held at the same venue. The Renaissance Club next year is the venue for both. Although the gap between the two will be further apart, because, of course, the schedule's changing next year. Evian's coming earlier. It's going to be in July. So I think it might be a 4 or 5 week gap as opposed to the 2 weeks that we got right now.
Well, that means the green staff will be able to get a couple of Z's in, maybe. They've been working so hard.
And the members might be able to get a hit or two.
Just gives herself so many opportunities, Anna Nordquist. Ranks 4th on the tour in greens and regulation, so you always feel like you're missing more putts than everyone else, but just because you have more chances.
Still working hard on the game. She's, as you mentioned, Monday qualified last year for the Women's British. She's going to have to do the same again this year, unless there are 3 spots up for grabs for the top 3 players yet to have qualified for next week's event at Lytham. No such need for Georgia Hall. This for par.
It's kind of a short, poppy putting stroke, Georgia. Not kind of the long, fluid, slow strokes of the likes of, say, Inbee Park.
Now this at 11 from Laura Davis. Par 5, obviously reachable. Look at the way this one's working down. This could be pretty good. Oh, how? Get in the hole. What a shot that is. Eagle chance coming up from Laura Davis that would take her into a share of the lead. It's only day one, but carrying on the form that she showed amongst the elder ladies a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's fun. It's one of the reasons you love watching her play. And to a player that's debatably equally dynamic, Area Jutanagan, so that's in for par. And a nice save, given where she was a long way back off the tee, held up in the rough.
So this to turn in 30 shots. Oh, wasn't far away either. So matching the efforts of Charlie Hall and Justine Dreyer in turning in 31.
She's been working really, really hard on her knockdown shots and been quite analytical coming into the next 2 weeks, I should say. Sung Hyun Park. Line on the ball never lies. That's what you want to see, end over end. And no dramas there for the South Korean. Makes the turn in 31.
Well, I think we could be in for an exciting afternoon, couldn't we? 3 at the top. But they're close to being caught by a number of players. Dame Laura Davis, 54 years of age, but an eagle chance coming up at the 11th, which would take her from the group at 3 under par, currently tied for 8th amongst the trio of Koreans. Charlie Hull and Sung Hyun Park turning in 31, only one back. Young Indian player Aditi Ashok alongside Jodie Hewitt-Shadov, the Sohan Cup player, amongst those in with a 1 under par round of 70. That leaves them nicely placed heading into round 2. Sarah Kemp there, alongside her fellow Aussie Catherine Kirk, round of 70. Kempe, who came so close to her breakthrough LET, went earlier this year in Morocco, lost in the playoff, won by Jenny Hagland, who, if my information's correct, is staying in a caravan this week.
Is it attached to a car?
I've no idea.
I'll keep an eye out in the car park for her. Well, we said that the players up ahead better watch out and rake that bunker quickly.
She's done well. Managed to just about get it on the green, Charlie Hull.
It's been interesting talking to the players in the lead up to today about kind of each of their links golf strategies, and one of the common themes was really, everyone mentioning that there's a day, 1 shot per day that you give to the links. It might be from a bunker, it might be from a bit of a shocking bounce, because none of the fairways are really uniform here.
Yeah, well, this is a lovely part of the course, right in the corner on the cliff edge. Par 5 that curves gently to the right, as we've seen from Laura Davis. Par 5 that's very much in reach.
When the wind swings around as well, the longer hitters are actually able to hit over those bunkers that are about 257 to carry, but with the wind into today, it's a different beast, still scoreable.
What's this? This is the 2-iron that she has in the bag, and she pretty much wears it out, doesn't she?
Well, it's a luxury that Aria has on links golf, is that she can afford to control her ball flight by picking a club out of the bag and being conservative, because she's just that long off the tee.
But she never hits driver generally anyway.
Rarely. Maybe a couple of events this year, but less than a handful she's thrown it in the bag. Okay, it'll be well short of all of the trouble. Comes into play on that right-hand side, around about 244 yards. It was just so much fun watching Georgia really announce herself on the world stage on the LPGA as well as the LET last year.
How is she settling into life on the LPGA Tour? Of course, she's an LPGA rookie this year.
Well, we talk a lot about trying to find the balance for her. She's been in housing a lot, and housing's fantastic because, you know, usually you have dinner waiting for you when you come back, but it's also nice to have your own space and take ownership of a space while you're overseas. So she and I talked about maybe throwing in a couple of hotel stays, a couple of, you know, houses with different players as well, just to keep the variety going. It's hard to do so, say, on a 6-week stint. She's been playing lots.
Kind of feel with Charlie Hull. I mean, if the weather forecast is right, I mean, it could be pretty nasty when they tee off tomorrow morning. Of course, the forecast isn't always spot on, but if it's going to be breezy and wet as well.
Roughly 75 feet left. Maybe another 9 foot to come.
Well, you can understand if you saw the Georgia Hall putt before. You can understand why Charlie was being a little cautious with that one.
It's one of the greens that does release to the back edge. You know, when you think about players that play well on links golf courses, and, you know, historically Kari Webb's certainly been one of those. Her control of her ball flight really is a strength. She has the shots in her repertoire that she can keep the ball down without increasing the spin, which is something that the majority of players in the women's game really struggle to do. Usually when they try and hit it low, it actually puts more spin, and then it is more affected by the wind in the air.
Bit of work left in that one for Kari. Webb with a similar length putt to the one that Davis has got here at 11, but this, of course, is for eagle, not turning. Pity, second shot was spectacular from the Dane. Going to join us for a bit of commentary tomorrow.
That's never dull.
No, she's always gives a great insight into the game. And she moves very nicely despite that missed putt to 4 under par, but kicking herself, it wasn't eagle. And she's been having a little bit more fun with us this week. She's been answering some questions from one of her tour mates, Mel Reid.
Right, you ready?
Yes.
Right, Damo, you ready? Bournemouth or Strongbow?
Oh, Bournemouth.
Feelings on Champions League final this year? Awkward, sorry. Okay.
Well, no, obviously I enjoyed the day because I was there. Derby weren't in the Champions League, I don't think.
I
So
don't
anyway,
think
yeah.
we've ever been in the Champions League.
Okay, well, no, I enjoyed it apart from the result. Thank you.
Very good. This is quite a long one, so bear with.
Okay.
In 1987, before I was born, when you won your first US Open, was that more satisfying than you just winning the senior US Women's Open 31 years later?
Well, because you have now been born, I think winning this one was much more important to me.
I enjoyed it.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the club.
Thank you. Can't believe you
Now, we
wrote all
haven't
that.
got a huge amount of time for this,
Okay,
so I'm only going to allow you to name 3 things.
right.
3 things that Tanya irritate you. That Tanya does that irritate you.
Oh my God, breathing.
That's what I mean. I could only.
Yes, I
could only
think
limit
she's
it
an
to
oxygen
3.
thief. That's one thing. Smoking when it's really still, so I basically smoke with her, which is not fun.
It's not healthy
And
for an athlete, that.
I don't know, just generally being around. I think
I can
she's
see
very
that.
annoying.
I can see that. I had
Yeah.
to shorten that down because we've not got a lot of
Okay,
time.
well, we didn't have enough time.
Will Jeff Artis ever grow a full head of hair again?
Never. He's bald and he's going to stay bald, and I love it.
Describe me in 3 words.
You,
Yep.
again, a little bit like Tanya, irritating, aggressive,
Thank you very much.
and I don't
Throw a
know,
legend
and
in there if you want.
big drinker.
It's been around you, share with you. all the
Oh,
time.
okay, yeah.
Can you do a backflip?
Obviously not. Look at me.
Very entertaining. In case you want to know, Tanya, by the way, is Laura's caddy, in case you weren't sure. And Jeff Artis, of course, is husband of and caddy for Rebecca Artis, a former winner of the Ladies Scottish Open. But she's such a popular figure, isn't she, Dame Laura Davis? I think we got a little bit of an insight into her relationship with Mel Reid there.
That's what happens when you let Mel write her own questions.
Yeah, Charlie's going to drop a shot here. So punished by finding the bunker off the tee, back to 3 under. But that reachable par 5 coming next. Second bogey of the day.
And let's have a look at 12, the tee right by the water. And it's playing 155 yards today, well guarded up by the green. And it's slightly, if anything, it feels like it's playing uphill. It is back into the breeze off the right today. And anything short of the hole would be ideal, provided it's on the putting surface. Need to clear that front edge, otherwise it will kick all the way back down. Given the front hole location today, just 9 paces on.
Quick player, Laura Davis. She won't like hanging around here too much, will she?
Well, she's known on tour. I've played with Laura quite a bit, and she's actually almost off-putting because of how fast she is. So you're still walking while she's hitting, and you feel rude, but it's just something she's used to.
Did you notice she used a tee there? She said to me, because normally she'd just bang down the ground and use that as a tee, but the ground's so hard, she'd end up bending her clubs, I think, if she started doing that. Either that or hurting her wrist. So tee it is. There's Tanya. No doubt going to get an earful in a moment.
Well, they all travel together as well, Jeff Artis and Beck Artis as well. It's usually a household that's not boring at night time.
Should be like one.
Tanya, the partner of Mikey, who's on the bag for So Yeon Yu, Mikey Patterson. One big happy family out here.
Yeah, 7 bunkers to avoid around this green.
green is really firm as well, so that's probably the hardest hole location to get close to, I'd say, today on the front. You see a lot of putts putting back towards that pin downhill.
It's a very nice sculpture green, is it, there at 12? Anna Nordqvist not happy with that, and you can understand why. I'm assuming that's her third shot at the par 5 11th. Not easy, a lot of crosswinds on a lot of the holes. If you're used to watching the men play here a few weeks ago, and we saw the 60 from Brandon Stone, 61 from Hideto Tanahara, and 66 leading the way right now. The hardest conditions the men had to deal with was pretty much the Saturday. Other than that, it was fairly benign.
Now this is really tough. There's such a big bank. And that is just about as good as she could have done from there, Eri Jutanagan.
Probably can't believe she's left it short. By the way, her sister's also in the field, Moria, but yet to go out. I know it's 3 o'clock local time here at Garland, but the last tee-off time's 3:40, so the likes of Carlotta Siganda, Moria Jutanagan, Caroline Masson, some of the well-known players yet to actually head out. So you never know, the wind can sometimes die down later in the evening, so you never know, they might get some nice conditions late in the evening here.
Well, in our household, we had Mo Martin set a 4:15 a.m. alarm this morning, and Maho Uribe, who's also in the house, is off at 3:40 in the afternoon. So it's quite the spread.
Yeah. And you're cooking dinner?
Not tonight. No, I've already paid my dues the last 3 nights, so someone else is in charge. She's a very self-sufficient player, Georgia. Doesn't really rely heavily on a caddy.
See that flag, 55 divided by 5, even I can work that one out.
Just don't give me the square root of
No.
85, please.
Yep. So birdie should be a formality for Georgia Hook, which would, off the back of the bogey at the last, take her back to level par. 5 off the lead. Laura Davis with that birdie at 11, then getting to within 1 of the lead. Most recent major winner in the ladies' game, also on that mark at 4 under par, Sung Hyun Park. Suo on a lovely run, 3 birdies in a row from another fine young player from Australia. Youngest player in the field, Carolina Lund, in a rarefied air. It's like a major really for the regulars on the Ladies European Tour. She's a rookie, having come through Q School. 67 from her, 66. That is the mark, our trio of Koreans, all winners on the LPGA Tour, all sitting at 5 under par.
Quite a slopey green, the 11th hole. Should start breaking left to right about now. And not too bad by Anna Nordqvist. There's such a variety of greens on this golf course as well. One of the real features, I guess you could say, given that it is all predominantly on one hill. The first hole is up the hill, and then 18 is back down on the same side, and then pretty much everything, all 16 of the other holes are on the ocean side. And what an up and down this would be. Chance to get to 2 under par for Ariya Jutanugarn. And every now and then you just see her putting stroke. She gets just a little bit loose with her wrists at takeaway. Almost looks like her wrists move before any of the club moves. That's usually when it goes left. And a little bit of work left to do yet to save her 5.
Long birdie putt from Laura Davis. Butterflies after it. And that's what she's done so well so far when we've watched her. Even when she was, what, 20 yards off the green, her pace of putting from distance has been very good.
Well, it just takes so much pressure off, but it also, as you said, it gives you a little bit more confidence to putt from the surroundings of the green, which is probably the more percentage play, I guess you could say.
Well, given her prodigious length, it's a disappointing 5 for Ariya.
There's only 3 par 5s on the golf course. Don't go wasting them. None of that, thank you, Ariya.
She birdied the first of them, but par at the second. Now, Anna Norquist. This for par, stay at level. Sunkyun Park. Great chance, wasn't it, to join her compatriots at the top. Not to be. "20 years as Australia's #1 female player." Obviously, she's been usurped the last couple of years, but I mean, that was some stay at the top.
Well, she's been usurped, as you said, Richard, by the generations that she's inspired. And what an incredible contribution to the game that she's made. A nice shot there as well. So I think that could be an eagle putt coming up for Karrie Webb.
Well, she was 4 under par through 5 holes. She remains on that mark. Pars since her eagle at the 5th. Don't know whether that was a holdout. She could have driven that green, couldn't she? So might have been a drive and a putt.
Now, the fact that these players have irons into the green shows that the wind has in fact died down out of the southwest, well, out of the southerly, I should say, this morning. It wasn't a real option for the early tee times. You can see not much movement on the flag either. There was almost, 2 clubs of wind into their face this time, early on. say 8 a.m. this morning.
In the bunker that Area Jatanagarm found. See if she can better the tie by actually making birdie from there. The best this year has actually come in the majors, hasn't it, for Charlie Hart? So she seems to perform better the harder the course. I mean, this is in sharp contrast, isn't it, what the conditions the players are facing here as we look at the 11th tee compared to what they face most of the season on the LPGA Tour. I'm not talking about the fact that it's a links course, but they've had such bad weather follow them around. They've been playing on really soft golf courses.
Well, there have been a lot of remarks saying, what are the chances that the best weather we have all year is coming in Scotland?
Ironic, yes.
I know. It is beautiful here, though, when the sun's out. There's been plenty of sunshine over the last 4 to 6 weeks.
I've hardly seen any rain here at all over that period. Showing that the forecast suggests you might see some tomorrow. As you said earlier, not an easy flag to get at.
She needs to get lucky. That ball needs claws, and it looks like it's going to stay up. Even 2 paces to the left, and that would have come back 15 yards off the green.
Driver in hand at 13 for Laura Davis. Yeah, beautifully. Look at this one running.
Ooh.
Like a baby's nose, isn't it?
That ball's running like it's late for dinner. Look at that go.
Oh, she's found some green grass as well. That's a bonus.
It's got a great lie coming up. That was monstrous.
Yeah, Laura going along so well. Charlie's ball must have been running towards that bunker and caught the slope and come back. So she's had a decent break. Now she's got the putter in hand here. I mean, she's going to have to flirt with that slope again, isn't she?
She's almost, I would think, going to have to get to the crest of the hill and let it drift down. I'm not sure that this is actually a good break for Charlie. You saw from Aria's shot that she was able to go out to the right and create some spin out of the sand.
Her caddy Adam Woodward discussing things with her. Well, I mean, that was nowhere near the line, was it? Obviously, I mean, I'm not saying that in hindsight. I mean, I was thinking she needed to flirt with the edge of the bunker. Was she just playing safe there and giving us making sure she had a birdie chance?
I'm not sure, really, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if Charlie just got sick of thinking about the line and just thought she'd get up and whack it, which she does every now and then, but not her finest. Still birdie chance coming up.
Pure strike, wasn't it?
That same butterfly, Richard.
It loves golf balls.
Well, everyone loves golf here in Scotland, don't they?
Even the butterflies. Some surprising scores out there, 1 or 2. Michelle Wees turned in 39, 4 over par. Same story for Se-Yeon Kim, who had that record 31 under par a couple of weeks ago. And Pernilla Lindberg, one of the major winners of this year, 7 over through 11 holes. So some players out there struggling. Fingers, so he was a little firm.
Every now and then when you put your pins in the yardage book, you kind of look at it and you go, is the pin really there? You know, this is almost on 11, almost on just on the top of a ridge that you can see So-Yeon standing on now. And to her left, it falls away quite drastically. Bit of a cheeky hole location.
By the way, we had that birdie putt from Sung-Kyun Park at 10. It was actually a par putt that she missed. It was actually a bogey for her there at 10. So she's back at 3 under par now. Alongside the likes of Charlie Hart. Now this could make a difference to Carrie Webb's scorecard.
Just one birdie on the card so far today. Came at the second hole.
Remember that eagle she had at, what was it, 14 last year? We thought that was the moment in the final round. She got unlucky with the tee shot, didn't she, at 17? But it's all history now. A year ago. So both the birdies coming at par 5s. Back to level. Kind of a test run for her, this limited schedule, to see whether she can come out and still perform after time off. As I say, this is only a 7th event of the year.
Guys, can you stop now?
Almost like she went backwards to try and go forwards. Not by the green. Still walks away with the par, but a real opportunity missed, having such a short club into the par 5. Standing on the back edge of this green yesterday, and I could almost clearly hear the people on the beach about 300 yards away because it was downwind, so the sound really does travel in this part of the world. This is a difficult putt, very downhill, a little bit left to right as well.
World number 3 right now, Area Jatanagarn. That's how star-studded we are. We go from the world number 3 to the world number 4 there. Yeah, important for Georgia that her ball did stick there. Should have been left with a very awkward up and down otherwise.
Picked up the Order of Merit title last year on the Ladies European Tour, as well as the Players Player of the Year, and she walked up. I actually presented the trophy to her, which was really fun, but she wasn't expecting it, which is kind of classic Georgia in a way. She doesn't realise how she looks in other people's eyes, how she's looked at by her peers.
Now, we mentioned Carrie Webb mentoring some players. Here is one of those that she has mentored, Sue Oh. Currently in the group, 1 off the lead. Look how far away from the green that's ended up. That's at the par 3 17th. And that's tidied up at the par 3 12th for Area Jatanagarn. brown fairway to Laura Davis.
Almost too good a lie. Got too much spin on it and didn't get the bounce forward.
Another one right at it though.
She didn't have much club left in hand.
Well, I mentioned Michelle Wheat had been struggling. Not struggling at 11 though.
Oh! Magical shot.
Well, she hasn't had a birdie today. She's hoping she doesn't have one there.
It's not often the birdie's the bad option. Looks as though Melanie Jorgensen's running up to mark the ball.
Played well at the US Open, didn't she, Suo? First time she's really contended in a major.
She's been moving in the right direction this year. However, Sue, she went on that run where she didn't finish outside the top 17, had a 4th place at the LPGA Volvic Championship, backed up by, tied for 5th place at the ShopRite 3 weeks later. Looks skybound for this. She can absolutely launch it. Sung Hyun Park. Nicely done. And an eagle chance coming up.
Yeah, if anyone looks of the likely candidates to topple the 5 unders at the top, you do feel like it is Sung Hyun Park.
No.
That's the voice of Peter Godfrey, who's been on the bag for Lydia Ko in the past, amongst others.
Yeah, she's a top caddy. She's done well. I mean, considering she's playing such a limited number of events, she's done well to have a top caddy. I suppose it helps when you've got a resume like Webb has.
Oh, come on down. There is a backstop. It won't come all the way back, but it certainly helped. I actually was at an event with Carrie Webb earlier this year at the Australian Open, and we got a table and she was kind of tucked in the corner and she just looked at me and she goes, nobody puts Webby in the corner. So she's a good character. And it's interesting, you know, we get to know them so well off the golf course, and she's probably one of the players that for the people at home might be the most misunderstood, because she doesn't really show her bubbly side at all on the golf course, but she certainly has a great sense of fun.
Beautiful shot from So Yeon Yu. That's the perfect spot she landed that at. Kicking birdie coming up. And So Yeon Yu, I think it's fair to say, in terms of she's like she is on the course, she's very smiley and friendly and down to earth.
Yeah, what you see is what you get. Down to a tee, I think, with Seon, which is lovely. Also, you know, pretty decent golfer, you could say.
Yeah,
her last 3 starts, she's had a win and a 2nd place.
It's picking up now, isn't it?
Don't know if you heard Adam say there, the wind's just starting to pick up. Change clubs.
to the pitch mark, maybe a foot too far for Charlie Hull, but a great shot in there using the slope to her advantage. Been keeping our eye on social media coming into the week, and plenty of videos posting around, putting around bunkers, getting creative by the greens. Par save here for Suo, not to beat on 17. The course has been slightly rerouted for this week. A lot of the hospitality this week's on the normal first hole. We start on the second hole of course number 1 here at Gullen. Birdie putt for the Dame.
Didn't move, but no harm done. Another very solid hole. Suffered a little bit this season after that second place. Even when she finished second, she was suffering with an Achilles injury, and then she had some other tournaments where she had to withdraw with a virus as well. But fighting fit right now. Laura Davis there in a share of 4th place. Suo with that drop shot at 17, back at 3 under. But Sung Hyun Park, who's also back at 3 under par, has an eagle opportunity coming up at the 11th. Chance to join the group at -5. Jenny Shin, Amy Yang, Hee Kyung Kim all out earlier this morning. Bogey start for Shin. Bogey finish for Amy Yang. And a nice start from Tiffany Joe.
Had a pretty quiet evening last night. Tiffany Joe did some knitting. I think it's her form of meditation actually. She's halfway through making a Bruin blue scarf if you're a UCLA fan.
There's one of the 6 Scots in the field, Kelsey MacDonald, and 2016 Order of Merit champion on the Ladies European Tour. Beth Allen's opened up with a birdie at the first.
I wonder if Beth's staying at home this week. She lives just on the other side of Edinburgh.
I'm sure she is.
Any chance you can get when you're playing tour golf. I know she'll have a lot of friends out probably today or tomorrow, hopefully the weekend as well. We had her friend Mike Lewis last year, who was out in a kilt when she was in contention. Here it goes. Oh, looked good for a long time. So no eagle for Sung Hyun Park. And this one going left and presumably staying a little left for Georgia. It's her general miss, is just a little bit of a pull, comes across the plane at the top of the swing, cuts across the ball a little bit.
Well, again, complete misread. I can only assume from Charlie Hull. I wonder if she's frustrated.
The big wheezy.
Just the first birdie of the day. At least it has her moving back in the right direction, but you can see why Laura started it a little further left.
She's been spending a lot of time on her knockdown shots recently, Michelle Wheat.
Carrie Webb has popped her in for par, and this should be a birdie given that tee shot for you. And indeed it is.
Just 10 birdies to date on the 12th. Playing above its average by 0.2 of a shot right now.
This should be a bounce back birdie for Park. Firth, the fourth, looking absolutely stunning today.
For anyone that was coming over from Carnoustie, that's the bridge they would have used coming over this way.
Jung Yun Lee at 17. Now this looks a pretty good one. It's a bit confusing. There's a Jung Young Lee 5 and there's a Jung Young Lee 6. We've only got one in the field today, so that's number 5,
yes.
Isn't it?
It is. I promise you. They look quite different when you see them in person, just not so much on a leaderboard. And what a fantastic setting it is. It's interesting when you come to a place like Gullen and you walk up over the hill on the first hole and just the rest of the 16 holes is laid out before you. It almost looks like, you know, someone's back paddock and they've gone and had some fun with the lawnmower. It's really quite spectacular to see. I don't think there's actually one tree in play on those holes that I can think of off the top of my head. There's a few up on the top of the hills, but not really where any of the players are hitting.
Tee shots up the hill and then flattens out this hole. On the green, Georgia Hall. Work to do to save par. Played it nicely though.
There are a couple of elements that are different. Obviously the bunkering around with the sodded face, so each of the faces of the bunker are actually built up with layers of grass, so it's not full of sand like other places in the world. A real feature.
Yeah, she's managed to find some very long grass left of 14. You can find a decent lie in there. It can be rather wispy. I'm not too sure though. She's got plenty of strength, Laura.
But the one thing that the players have going in their favour this week is that the grass is so dry that when you hit through it, it actually breaks because it's quite brittle. So it doesn't wrap around the golf club quite as much as it might have.
Well, she's looking up as if she's intending for this one to get on the green. She's in the bunker over there. You saw Christy Kerr in the shot there. No real progress so far today from Christy. Couple over. Of course, a long-time challenger a year ago at Dundonald Links.
splinter?
Maybe.
Playing horizon golf around this golf club, really up and over the hill no less than 5 times. So really just picking something to aim at on the horizon off the tee, all important. You rarely get to see the ball actually finish on this golf course from the tee.
Nice to see the umbrellas being used for that reason. Normally they're hanging on to them for dear life. It's to save par at 13. Very important.
Yeah, it's not often that you see, as we mentioned, she's world number 13 now, but a player that spent quite a bit of time in the top 5 in the world rankings, Anna Nordqvist, make so many changes. She's been changing quite a bit, changed golf clubs and she's changed coach twice really in the last 18 months. Just trying to find something. Looks as though she's doing that, moving in the right direction in the last 7 weeks on tour. Just a little bit more flora and fauna of this part of the world. Well, she says it was a misread, but it was also very unlucky not to find the bottom of the hole there. Back up to the very top of the hill, 17, Jong-un Lee.
Another one who misses a short one.
Been super solid this year, made 13 of 14 cuts, just outside the top 50 on the money list.
Final hole of the day for Suo. Just a wedge in. And this is one of the holes which is quite different to how the men played. It's similar angle, but about 80 yards short of the 18th.
Now, it's not the 15th, it's 15 minus 2, Richard. You've got that one, don't you?
I think I could just about get there with that one. There's a few I can't, though.
And the high school kids have been, well, it's kind of part of the challenge, isn't it? Bring more maths into athletics and schools.
We were talking about the world rankings. I've been given the figures. Apparently, So-yeon Yu is among 3 players here this week that could get to world number 1. The others being Arya Jatanagarn and Sunghyun Park. In fact, Park can actually finish 2nd, and she would go above Inbee Park. Of course, not playing here this week.
It's interesting talking about Sung Hyun as well, and how she's been trying to deal with the pressure that came from, you know, her winning essentially almost every award in the book that was possible last year. Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year.
Well, in danger of dropping a first shot of the day here, Laura Davies.
Yeah.
Well, someone's getting ready for a decent view. Here's the view from the top of the leaderboard. And it's the 3 players that finished this morning. All LPGA Tour winners, Jenny Shin, Amy Yang and In-Kyung Kim of Korea. Karen Ayla Lund playing just her 7th event on the Ladies European Tour. Of course, her first on the LPGA, 67. Laura Davies in danger of giving one away. But tightly banched so far at Garland Golf Club for this first round of the Ladies Scottish Open. So 3 at the top. One of them's Jenny Shin. Let's get her reaction to her opening 66.
So an early start, and then you bogeyed the first. You must have thought, I wish I stayed in bed. But after that, it was all good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I played the first hole all right. I was hoping to cut my second shot, but it didn't, and hit one of the mounds and went straight into the crap. So, but you know, it didn't move. You know, it didn't upset me or anything. So I kept calm, and I birdied the next hole on a par 5, and it was a pretty good start after that.
Yeah, I mean, the wind's got up now in this afternoon. It was pretty important to go out there this morning and make a really good score, wasn't it?
I actually think I played better in the back 9, and the wind did pick up around number 10, 11. But I putted well. My routine was very on point, and I was pretty focused out there, so everything was a well-rounded.
How comfortable are you playing links golf?
Pretty confident, I can say. I really enjoy links golf. They are one of my favorite golf courses. And I really like being here in Scotland, so good stuff.
Well, very good start. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny Shin there with Edgar Morse.
Now this sounds like a bit of a stat that Mel Reid might pop out, but she was also the 1994 Ladies Scottish Open champion, Laura Davies, at Dalmahoy with a 1-shot lead, a 1-shot win, I should say.
Apologies if you picked up any of the language from the Dane. Yeah, just the 34 years ago? I'm trying to work out, 1994, 24 years ago. It's like when Bernard Langer last week, there was only 7 players that had made the cut at Carnoustie last week that were even born the first year Bernard Langer played the Open. And Laura must know, I think Laura's heading for her 38th consecutive Women's British Open.
Unbelievable. And you know, those stats should be a badge of honour. I know the way that, you know, Mel Reid said them earlier, it didn't sound quite like that,
no.
But it's genuinely just such an incredible career. I can't really think of what European golf would be like without Laura Davies still outplaying it. She's been such a factor. A bit of a difficult read here for Kari Webb. Where the hole is, it's almost down in a little collection area, so she's going to have to come up and over a bit of a slope last, say, 8 feet will be quite severely downhill.
By the way, I'm not sure what's happening with Sung Hyun Park scoring. We had someone thinking it was a 4 at 10 turned into a 5, and that birdie 4 that we thought was at 11 turned out to be a par 5. So I'm afraid for any fans of the Korean, she is at 3 under, as is Charlie Hall right now, although after that approach shot to 13, Charlie's got a terrific chance here to get to 4 under. Well, she's not having much fun on the greens since we've been with her.
So just a little tap in there for Sue O. Well, still solid showing. So a par to finish for Sue O. That'll just release on out for Georgia Hall, in position off the tee. One of the 6 greens really that runs from front to back around this golf course.
Beautifully played. Chance for area coming up now. We had some fun with Mel asking the questions for Laura Davis. Chance for some revenge, methinks, for the Dame.
Well, they've let us loose. This is Damo and Melvin on the putting green at Gillane. I've got a few questions for you, Melvin.
Go, Damo.
Why did we call you Melvin? That's not really a question, but we'll move on. We'll move on.
cool.
Okay, right. First question, what's your favourite song?
Favourite song? It's completely depends. Probably.
No, one favourite song. It's
Okay,
not a
I don't
trick
know.
question.
Summer of '69. Yeah, you were born. Were you born then?
63, actually.
Right, okay.
If you're
cool.
going to be
That's a
rude,
compliment.
if you're going to be rude, get your facts straight. Wrong answer anyway. Okay, this is easy too. Who's best in social media? As I don't do it, I'm going to suggest you know the answer to this one. It's not a trick question.
I don't
again.
know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
Who's
it's
the best
you
at
or
social
me.
media?
It's you or
Michelle
me.
Wee. Oh, me or you?
Oh,
I'm
a
brilliant.
flaming egg. I mean, that's down 2-0. 0-2.
go.
Okay. What one skill or talent do you wish you had? Answering questions is not a possible answer.
I wish I
but-
could hit it off the ground like you do.
Well, can't
Not all
do
of us
that,
can be
we?
legends like you, can we?
Right, a big choice here. Winning putt at the Solheim or a winning putt in a major?
Oh, Winnie play the major.
Oh,
No?
not a team player then. Really. Okay, we know you're. Yeah, we're okay. Right, birdie celebrate. This is not my questions, by the way. Your best birdie celebration, and can you do it for us? I'm not interested. but-
I pounded my chest at Solheim, didn't I? Like,
You what?
Like a proper Melvin.
Oh, okay.
Didn't I?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
you did.
thank
yes.
you.
So that was good. But do you want to do that now? Because I think the viewers are about to see.
Oh, I missed it.
No. Oh, it's rubbish. Okay, next question. Obviously, apart from me, who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Oh, it's just you.
Thank you. Right, and describe me in 3 words. 3
Annoying.
words. Yeah, check.
Funny.
Yeah.
A bit of banter, yeah. Just
3 words. It's
I
not
don't
difficult.
know. Legend. Absolute legend. There you go.
Magnificent.
I just pick you up. Now you're. I'm
you.
so excited for my questions. I'm so excited for my questions. I can't
Fantastic.
even contain myself.
Yeah, Dame Laura Davis. She's a pretty good golfer, and she's a pretty decent questionnaire as well. Certainly, I think just getting the better of Mel Reid. Cheyenne Woods, who's been out on the course today, delighted to say joins us now in the commentary box as well. Cheyenne, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's not the most simple of equations out there, is it today, Cullen Golf Club?
It is not playing the easiest today. It was a little difficult, you know, the wind's picking up, and it's actually the opposite wind than we have had in practice. So it's a little bit of an adjustment we're making out there.
Yeah, so what day did you get here?
I got here on Monday.
So you haven't seen the course like this at all?
I have not. This is the first time I've seen the course in these conditions. Like I said, practice rounds have been complete opposite and much less wind. So that was a little bit of a test today, and I think that's why you see a few girls struggling out there.
Well, Georgia Hall currently at level par. This is at 14.
Just a little downhill, maybe a little off the left to right as well.
I don't know how much you can remember of the course. I know you've been not long finished, Cheyenne. Which hole today would you say is playing the most difficult out there?
I mean, there's a handful of them. I think the most difficult part about this course is really judging the runouts. It's a different type of links course with the elevation changes. And with that, today you have to judge the elevation and the wind and allow for the ball to roll out. So it does definitely take, you see there, Sun Young just kind of left it short there. It's very difficult to judge when it's going to roll out and when it won't.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw all of the maths equations out on the flags today.
Oh, yes.
Did you get them all right?
Well, she knew which hole she
I
was
was
playing.
testing myself, yes. My caddy and I, we were testing ourselves, testing our math skills, so that was fun. Good distraction from the golf.
Now, this is a lady who's so impressive, isn't she, Ari Jatanagan?
I love watching her play. Her game is so solid from tee to green. And I think you've definitely seen with the putter, she's improved so much in the last few years, and that's what makes the difference out here.
Yeah, not to be for her with her birdie putt. Just off the back of a birdie as well at 13. So Area going along nicely, 2 under.
Oops, the daisies.
Yeah, I think she nearly went there, didn't she?
Need to check those spikes. What an amazing setting it is. We've been saying that, you know, I think Gullen is almost the midpoint between Kingsbarns last year and what the players are heading for next week at Royal Lytham and St Anne's. Kind of a good midway point in kind of style of golf course.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a decent blend. It's great preparation for next week. I've never played Royal Lytham before, so I'm looking forward to that. But it's always nice to come here and play the link style Scottish golf. It's a great challenge for especially us Americans. We don't get to see it very often.
Hannah Norquist doesn't really get to see it that often either, being based in the USA now, the Swede.
Missed a short one on the last green, but no such problems there.
I always think if Anna's short game is on point, then she's usually in contention. She hits so many greens that if she can kind of stop the damage with the bogeys, usually not far off.
And I feel like that's a huge momentum killer sometimes out here, is if you have those up and downs that you're unable to make, it's great momentum to keep when you can make those clutch putts and stay away from the big numbers.
So how was your round today?
It was a little up and down. I had a few birdies, handful of birdies, but unfortunately too many squares on my scorecard today.
Okay.
So tomorrow I'll definitely get a few back.
Because as you say, preparation for the Women's British Open, you're trying to get as many rounds under your belt.
Definitely trying to play as much golf as possible.
one just showing by, and not too many holes, I don't think, birdies are going to be made on 13 to date. Just given that whole location, there's so many little elevation changes. It looks like a flatter green until you get up there.
And that's a trend that I noticed throughout this golf course is there's a lot of subtle breaks. There's a lot of slopes, but they're subtle. So it takes a lot of feel and a good eye to really get some of these putts in.
It's not often you get subtle slope on the side of a mountain. Well, a hill maybe. Mountain might be a bit steep.
Yeah, the Koreans are used to playing mountain golf. We've got 3 of them at the top of the leaderboard. This for Sunkyung Park to stay within 2. I was saying to Alison earlier as we watch her hopefully tidy up, some of the players gave her the nickname Tiger.
I've heard that,
Yeah.
actually. I have heard that, and I can totally see why. She is a very, very solid player. She has one of my favorite swings on tour, actually.
We saw Laura Davis in here earlier on. She found one of those bunkers over there. You can see sticking out on the right-hand side.
What's the key to playing out of the long grass?
You really have to keep your hands strong through the ball. It's easy for that long grass to catch the shaft and turn the club face over. So whatever you do, stay strong through the ball. It looks like Kari did a great job of that here. And really just getting it back into play. When you're out of position like that, you just want to get it back into play and, again, avoid the big numbers whenever possible.
Yeah, it looked as though it just kind of got caught a little bit more than Laura Davies did and really turned over, started a little bit left.
And that's the tendency that I see. The miss is usually to the left with the club face getting caught in that long grass.
We can see the long grass there waving around. I mean, how strong is the wind?
It's pretty strong. You know, when you're out here on the water especially, it's just gusty, it's consistent. So you really have to flight the ball or just play a little bit more club.
I think if anything, as we see Soyeon Yu's shot there, fantastic approach, getting better by the second. I think you actually had the strongest wind so far today while you were out there, Cheyenne.
That actually makes me feel a little better. Okay. That's great to hear.
The toughest conditions so far on Thursday.
You ever played along Charlie Hull?
I've played a lot of golf with Charlie Hull, and she is very, very exciting to watch. She not only has a great personality, but her game is just, from tee to green, she just has it.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Yeah, there is a bit of an it factor around Charlie Hull. She swings it like she's had too much caffeine in the morning.
She's a quick player. She gets right to it.
Doesn't
which
she do
is
everything
nice.
quick, doesn't she?
Yes. She talks quick. Sometimes I have to ask her a few times what she said. But she's a fun girl to play with.
Laura Davis been out of position on the last few holes. Laura left it in there. This is at 15. So this should be a full shot. Well, very nice.
Oh, that's long.
Those bunkers will get you very, very quick.
That was kind of classic Laura then. Didn't even, just stepped up to the ball again. I already know how to play this shot. I've played it once. Get it out.
Well, that's going to take her back to 2 under par though.
We've been talking about kind of playing horizon golf around this golf course with so many tee shots going up and over, like 14 here where Kari Webb is a great example of that.
Yes, you have quite a few blind tee shots out here, which again is very different from the links golf that I'm used to. But it makes for a beautiful round going up and down these hills.
Not seeing much of Christy Kerr, have we? Also finding a bunker.
Come on. Yeah.
Perfect.
Easy, right?
You know what, I think she had the perfect day yesterday because I know that she was out with the Loch Lomond Whiskey team.
Okay.
And being a sommelier herself.
I thought she's into wine, isn't
well,
she?
that's it. As a sommelier, you have to learn about every kind of...
Branching out a bit.
They twisted her arm, did they?
Yeah, exactly. Well, she went on a trip actually up to Loch Lomond this time last year, so...
She needed that as well. She was 3 over par early on, but she's now back to 1 over. I'm assuming that was for a 3 for Christy Kerr. Now, how are you going to play this one?
This one, you have to hit some sort of high lofted soft shot up there. The greens are firm, but they do respond well to soft shots. You can get some to stop. Looks like she has the face open here. And sometimes out of those lies, it is very difficult to get it to stop just based off of the rough there.
Yeah, always pretty hard to generate any spin out of ankle-deep grass.
Exactly.
Tough equation. But at least a chance at saving par coming up for the Australian.
I find on courses like this too, it's so important just to scramble your way through it whenever you can. If you can give yourself a 10 to 12 footer for par, that's great.
Yeah, there's something almost that goes hand in hand with scrambling and mental toughness, you could say, that's required on links golf.
It's a couple of really good looks at birdie in this group. Well, she's had a couple of misreads, hasn't she, Charlie?
Right.
It's interesting because she usually has a little bit more of a forward press at the start of her putting stroke. I know this time last year she actually had to get her putter changed at last year's Reco Women's British Open because it didn't have enough loft on it, and people don't think about putters having loft. But when you forward press, it does take the loft off, and she was having a couple of issues with the ball roll.
And that makes sense too. With a lot of the courses out here, the grass is a little bit longer than we're used to in the States, and you want to be able to get the ball up and rolling a bit more versus bouncing along the green.
Tiffany Joe, one of Ali's housemates for the week, going along well.
She's having a handy day today. Solid, 4 under par for the round. Maybe she'll be back on dishes again tonight. Seems to be working for it. That's more like it. And losing a couple out to the left today, Georgia.
So Shine, did you manage to watch any of the final round of the Open at all?
I did, yes. I definitely had to tune in once I saw Tiger was up there, and I watched the entire round. It's really exciting golf to watch. There we go.
Well played, Carrie Webb, yeah. Really good save, wasn't it? In the trouble down the left-hand side.
And those are the saves that really feel like birdies, and they get you pumped up.
But this for a third birdie in 5 holes for So-Yeon Yu.
Notice that So-Yeon's coach, Cameron McCormick, is he's out this week, and an Australian.
He's a busy man, isn't he? He was last week on the range as well at Carnoustie with the likes of Jordan Spieth.
He's in demand.
A lot of successful students he's got.
Yeah, Sandra Gall added her name to that list this year as well.
It's a pretty pleasant sight, isn't it? How much can you take it in when you're out on the course?
I try to as much as I can. There's some beautiful views, and you always have to distract yourself sometimes, so I take them in and try to relax a bit. I'm still getting used to this weather that we have this week.
Yeah, not many people pack shorts for the next 2 weeks. I can't imagine why when you look outside.
Well, not much change, really, has there been at the very top of the leaderboard since we've been with you the last couple of hours. It's the 3 Koreans, all winners on the LPGA Tour, including the lady who'll be defending at Lytham at the Women's British Open next week, In Kyung Kim. But the teenage Norwegian Carolina Lund's been joined by Tiffany Jo's got off to a really fast start to get to 4 under par through just 8 holes, leaving her just 1 back. One left to play for Jung Yoon Lee. Go on, Alison.
Oh no, I was just curious if Cheyenne's had a chance to go and take a look around the neighbourhood, if you will. Gullen or North Berwick.
Oh,
They've got plenty to choose from.
Yeah, I was actually there last night. North Berwick, yeah. Beautiful.
Did Katrina Matthew recommend a restaurant or two for you?
No, I should ask her though.
That's her place.
Yeah, she's the local.
You might even get a dinner invite if you're lucky. It is a beautiful part of the world and steeped in history as well.
By the way, Katrina Matthew 1 under par, so she's going along okay. Now, chance to get to 5 under for Tiffany Jo. Be an outside chance. Another one who looks like they're going to turn in 31.
She can join the group. She's in good company.
Yeah, Sung Hyun Park, Charlie Holt, Justine Dreyer, all with front halves of 31.
Can you believe that we're staying in a house this week with 3 UCLA Bruins? I know you went to Wake
You're
Forest.
surrounded. Wow.
It's a scary thought. Here's a woman that skipped the collegiate ranks, Sung Hyun Park, and rightly so. 7 wins in a single year on the KLPGA before cleaning up pretty much the majority of awards available to her almost last year on the LPGA. Just check the sunscreen. And just the iron in hand here on 15 for Charlie.
No need to watch that one.
Some of these fairways are really running out quite a bit today, as you can see, even with that iron there.
I mean, that's the luxury of links golf, is that you don't always have to look into the sky and hit the ball high for it to still go a mighty long way. We've seen a couple of players earlier in our coverage, Cheyenne, getting down within 40 yards of the green on 10 today.
Wow. Yeah, I could see that happening today with the wind and how they're running out.
Needs to turn. Okay, no, not in time at least. You're talking leading categories. She leads so many categories, doesn't she, this season? Earnings, Player of the Year points, race to CME, scoring average, birdies. It goes on.
Well, we've got 2 sisters at the top of the race to the CME Globe at the moment as well. Moria, sister, older sister of Aria, is in 2nd place.
This was a moment or 2 ago from Michelle Wee.
Nicely done that just a couple of moments ago. She's been working, we mentioned, on her knockdown shots, and she's almost perfected one that's less than shoulder high. It seems she always kind of comes in steeply, Michelle, but
Very impressive.
it's the creativity that's allowed and required in this part of the world.
Go.
Right.
Gotta stay patient.
There's just such, I wouldn't even say pressure, but I know how much all of the English and Scottish players like coming back. We've got 7 Scots in the field. We've got the entire English UL International Crown team here this week as well. Certainly don't miss an opportunity to come back to their home countries.
She was 5 under through the first 4 holes, Sun Yun Park. Hasn't had a birdie since. So close to another one there, though.
It's not dissimilar to the 8th green, the 14th, in the fact that it's downhill, but then the last section of it actually kind of tilts the other way.
Exactly.
It must be hard to read out there.
It definitely is. Like I was saying, there's a lot of subtle slopes and front to backs or back to fronts, and you really have to be aware of where you are on the green and what this putt is doing. And even today, I noticed the wind was affecting some of the putts as well. It got so gusty to take some of those balls offline.
This at the 15th for Charlie Holt.
She just hit iron off the tee. I mean, in the morning, this would have almost been kind of back into the breeze a little bit more, I think.
It was. Yeah, it was straight into the wind for us earlier today. That's a great leave there. That's all you really need with that pin tucked over by that bunker.
Yeah, hard to be aggressive when you pay such a price, really.
If you were watching the Open last week, Tiger did a lot of that, laying back, keeping himself in play.
There's so much strategy that goes into playing courses like this, really just course management and figuring out where you can and cannot miss it.
And potentially that rises yet again next week. It's, you know, you're really ball striking off the tees at an absolute premium at Royal Lytham. She's been doing very well with her landing points on the green. I think Soyeon did some good homework in her practice rounds, where to land it.
Yeah, the tee shot at 12 and now that one here at 15, absolutely right on the money.
This is a golf swing we've seen quite a bit of in championship golf over the years.
Another great shot into that hole.
Best finish in the last 3 months was 19th, so just the one top 20.
She can't have played that many events in that spell, though.
No, I think just the 6, in fact, 5 actually. So light on the schedule for Kari.
Just missing fairways at the moment, Laura Davis, after such a brilliant start to her round.
There's a lot of slope over that by that bunker. There's a couple over there.
Yeah, that could have been a second shot, I think, rather than a third. Yeah, in fact, I've just had that confirmed, so that was in the bunker for 2. But when you look at the likes of Kari Webb and Laura Davis, as we watch Haiji Kang here at her final hole, it must give some kind of inspiration, the longevity of their careers, never mind the amount of events they've won.
I think that's the most impressive part, the ability to sustain that level of golf for so long. Those women are definitely an inspiration, and even today with the tour being so young, you see 18 and 19-year-olds out here competing, and they're still holding their own and competing and winning.
Well, the average age of winner on tour has dropped 2 years.
Wow, I'm not surprised.
Since last year. I don't know how that works.
I'm only 28 and I feel like an old lady out here, so that says a lot.
You don't look like an old lady.
Why, thank you.
You got that.
Right, just the old man sitting in the corner here.
A nice social day out on the golf course.
Georgia going nicely. Level par. The other hall, Lydia, has just started birdie. She's got the Premier League referee Mike Dean caddying for her. Of course, Mike not in refereeing action until a couple of weeks' time when the Premier League gets underway. But finding the left rough there. Shine, thank you for coming into the commentary box, because as you have been able to see, it's not air conditioned. Gets a little warm in here.
You know what? I'm used to the heat now that I've been out here for a week, so.
It's almost like California, yeah?
It is. It's like I'm at home.
But you have aircon at home, I'm sure.
Definitely, yes.
Well, listen, best of luck tomorrow and making sure you're around at the weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Two great birdie chances coming up for the other two players in this three ball, but just a par for Charlie Hull. He's getting a little frustrated on the greens. Well, the status quo remains intact, doesn't it? Shin, Yang, Kim, the three Koreans, the trio of 66s, remain unmoved at the top. Some have threatened to join them, but no one has just yet. Tiffany Joe, another with an outward half of 31. Maybe she can get there. Carolina Lund in the clubhouse with a 67, and then a handful of players in with rounds of 68. Yeah, 3 under par right now, good enough for a share of 6th place. Annabelle Dimmock, good to see a young English player going along nicely. 1 hole left to play. Yeah, deserved it, didn't it? That approach shot.
Nice conversion there from Soyeon.
And good meet
That's almost the view from the top of the hill. Maybe it might be a little bit higher. But really just quite an incredible layout. It's a layout that's not, because it's so open, usually with a lot of links courses, you know, obviously most of them are flanked by the water, but they're a little bit more enclosed and
Looks like Laura's having to stand outside the bunker here. Oh, she's got this one out at least.
making hard work of it. And that's, you know, the shot really that you give back to the links every day. You might be lucky and get away with it, but chances are eventually the bounces might not go your way.
Yeah, that round though, it promised much at the start, didn't it, for Laura Davis? It's just in danger of petering out now. Plenty of hills having to deal with on your bikes.
school's out for summer.
It has been for a week or two. Haji Kang looking to get in the clubhouse with a round of 67. Another of the Koreans going along very well.
It's been a real up and down year for Haji. She's had a top 20, a top 10, but a couple of missed cuts recently. She hasn't been that far away. They haven't been considerable missed cuts, just by a shot or two. Really a strong finish would help. Throughout the year, 92nd on the money list, top 100 comfortably keep their card.
To do to save par and a reachable par 5. This round running out of steam a little.
It's been adventurous for the last 40 or so minutes. If Laura Davies, if she wrote a book, I'd read it, because I think there'd be some pretty good stories in there.
Yeah.
What a life.
She's done a good podcast. Christy Kerr would be an interesting one as well, wouldn't it? Really. Off the back of chipping in for birdie out of the sand at the last. Kerr, one would assume, eyeing up a birdie opportunity here. Fortunately for Pernilla Lindberg, who you can see in shot, it's been a pretty rotten day. No birdies rather. She wishes no bogeys. 8 over par. And there's only 3 players below her on the leaderboard.
Well, not the ideal start. They say that you can't win it on day one, but she's going to have some serious work to do going into tomorrow to have really any chance at all.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to have to shoot mid-60s number really to have any chance, depending on how she finishes as well. And Christy Kerr, twice a winner last year on the LPGA Tour. Of course, she won on the Ladies European Tour as well. I've hit it.
It was an emotional win for her in France when she did win the Lacoste Ladies French Open at Chantecaut. It was around about September of last year.
Yeah, she just lost a friend to cancer. It was her that she was playing for. Now, we haven't seen too much of Mel Reid on the course. Of course, we heard her asking and answering those questions to Laura Davies. Currently at 2 over par. Been working hard. Got a new coach, Jorge Parada, and there's changes starting to bed in. She had her first top 10 a couple of weeks ago, and then last week she did some on-course commentating at the Open.
She did for BBC Radio 5, I believe it was. I know a couple of us were tuning in from our cars on our drive up to Scotland.
Well, you were listening to the wrong station, but anyway. There
I didn't have you dialed in, Richard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's loyalty for you. Now, come on, Pernilla. I think it was going to be her first birdie of the day. It's a shame, though, to see players sit on fairways, isn't it?
It's not what you want, really. And to be honest with you, it's something that the tour can kind of work on, but when players are making big numbers, that's usually where the bank ups are. Mind you, Eria and Georgia Hall are 2 of the quickest players out there, so Georgia seems to actually get faster when she plays in Europe. She actually slows down quite a bit on the LPGA sometimes.
Now, come on, pop this one in. Just to stay on the 2 under mark, stop the bleeding. Oh. Three bogeys in a row. What promised to be a fantastic round now is becoming a little more ordinary.
And there's not a lot of real reprieve ahead of them on 16 and, well, on 17 and 18, I should say. And back with Anna Nordqvist. Looked like it started straight right off the club face. Might have drawn back in, it did. Oh, it's chasing up beautifully. And a great leave there. So up and down for birdie, up and in for eagle. And we have emphasised today that in the practice rounds the wind was coming from a different direction. That green was nowhere near reachable, so a lot of players were working out their layup yardage.
Oh, well, worth our first look at Marianne Skarpnord. 1 under par for the day. Every chance she can finish on the mark of 2 under.
You can see just how uneven the ground is in the lead up to this green. It kind of all depends on the bounce you get. If you can flight it all the way there, it is an advantage. Pretty tidy. Just the 1 eagle so far today on 16. Playing just a little bit, 4.84 under its par.
I know the name.
So equal chance coming up for area.
When she won her British Open, her Women's British Open at Woburn, it was interesting because she barely hit driver off the tee, which is part of kind of a staple of her game, but it wasn't a golf course that I think anyone really thought set up well for her, and she just absolutely wiped the field that week.
This is Annabelle Dimmock at the 18th. Brilliantly done. So she's going to finish at 3 under. Wentworth scholar who's been knocking on the door, hasn't she, the last couple of years since coming on the Ladies European Tour. There's news that the Koreans have company in the shape of Tiffany Joe, looking for her first top 10 of the year. Well, there she is in a share of the lead. Obviously, you've been spending a bit of time with her this week. I mean, is this kind of form been coming?
To be honest with you, it's hard to get Tiff to talk about golf.
She's the LPGA's resident comedian, isn't she?
She is, well, yeah, and also the resident surfer. She's been checking the surf breaks mainly. We don't really talk that much about golf in the household. It's kind of the holy rule that you get away from the golf course when you leave it. A little bit of work left there for Mel. I did learn something new this week, however. So Vicky Lang is from a place called Muscle Butter, as she says it. It's just down the road, probably about 20, 30 minutes back towards Edinburgh. Of course.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realise was they were actually the golf club that established the size of the golf hole. So it's 4 inches and a quarter in diameter.
And you know why that is?
Because of the pipe that they used to cut the hole. I never knew.
Drainage pipes.
The drainage pipes, yep. So if anyone misses any putts just on the lips, you can you can blame Musselburgh this week. I think it's a fantastic story. Of course, that was, you know, a long time ago, and it was about, I want to say about 50 years after that. In 1893, as I look down at my notes, it was standardised, and that was the hole for the next 200 years. 150 years, but still.
Yeah, this golf course itself established in the 1880s, but they reckon there's records showing golf being played on these links since 1650.
How do they work? Is that like fossils? Do they dig down and find golf clubs and golf balls underneath the surface?
No, I reckon, well, they could do that, but I reckon there must be some records in some of the newspapers and things like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do it the easy way. Back up the hill for eagle for Georgia Hall. Settle down. Both her parents in town this week. Mother Samantha was also out during the practice rounds.
Well, Dad's got to carry the clubs around. Not the easiest course to be caddying on. A bit steep.
Yeah, I think it's a harder walk than the caddies were actually expecting.
Two over par. Of course, it was great to see her playing with Carlotta Siganda in the Golf Sixers. Of course, Charlie Hull and Georgia Hall as well earlier in the year in St Albans. No birdie finish for Marion Scarpnort. Should be one for Annabelle Dimmock though, given the way she's played that second shot in there.
What did Anna learn from George's putt? I think, and Anna referenced this going into the Solheim Cup last year, that she wanted to, you know, become a real leader of the team and become, you know, her version of Suzanne Pedersen or something like that. Obviously, they've got quite different personalities.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's nice to see her kind of take responsibility, a little bit of European golf.
Oh, she was fantastic. They're putting together a nice round. A couple of birdies early on. They've been a little quiet. But this to get within one of our 4 leaders now. Just the birdie. Still 3 under. Going along nicely. Hard to believe last year she missed all but one of the cuts in the majors. She took 6 to get out of a bunker at one point of the Women's British Open. Now Dimmock should be a gimme. Yeah, she's been playing nicely. I know you were in Thailand. She was #1 there for greens in regulation, the last event that the ladies European Tour regulars have played. So obviously carrying on that kind of form. 68 to open with.
Well, she was the #1 in GB&I, as it's known in this part of the world, when she turned professional. Hasn't quite translated into the pro game for
She's only 21.
Annabelle. Oh, yeah.
She's 21.
Well, I was going to say yet.
Yet, yeah.
Didn't quite get there.
Georgia knocks in her birdie. Yeah, Annabelle and Georgia both big football fans, aren't they? Annabelle, Chelsea fan. Georgia's a big Bournemouth fan.
Just enough to keep your attention. Downhill, a little bit of break. Not dissimilar length to the horseshoe putt she had 3 or 4 holes ago, Anna Nordqvist. No troubles this time round. Her caddy Kyle Morrison on the bag there. He was on the bag for Mo Martin when she won her Ricoh Women's British Open at Birkdale.
Come on, come on, there you go. Good things come to those who wait. First birdie of the day for Pernilla Lindberg. Long way back to make the cut, but that's a starting point. It was a wonderful win, wasn't it? I mean, again, it's a lot of the Swedes have done that breakthrough win, a major win.
Well, Anna Nordqvist did it when in her rookie year, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A major for Anna.
Yeah, she. I think there's she's one of now 6 Swedes who have done it.
Geez, there's some digging to be done there.
Come on, I thought you'd have that. Yeah.
Historical Swedish facts. I'm better with the food from Sweden, Richard. That's Charlie Hull's turn now. It sounded like interest. It almost sounded thin in contact. It's turned out perfectly. It's been a popular spot there, front right. This one headed well left. And that's going to be an awkward pitch coming back across the bunkers.
Yeah, at least she's avoided that bunker where Laura Davis had that awkward stance. Talking of Laura Davis, as if by magic.
She did the right thing off the tee, leaving it below the hole on 17. It does get very steep toward the back half of this green.
And now she's left herself an awkward one though for par. Remember, off the back of 3 bogeys in a row. Not lost a turn here either.
Her pace control on the greens was what was
Sure.
a real strong point early on in the round.
Oh, what a pity. 4 drop shots in a row and back to level par. All the excellent work undone. This is back on the 17th tee.
175 yards to the whole location today. A really exposed part of the golf course.
Get in, they say. Nearly was.
Put that bottom lip away. Can't be disappointed with that one. Oh, caddy gets a hug for the yardage. Good club.
Yeah. Oh, gets 2 hugs.
I'm going to have to tell Les to start running. Imagine if it went in.
Anywhere inside of that'll do. That's also a very good shot.
There's always a real family focus for Georgia whenever she comes back. Likes to stay in housing. Brother Lewis and sister Charlie sometimes come along to the events as well. I think she has mum there just so she can cook.
No, I said she was a fan of Bournemouth, not Brighton.
Oh, see, I'm not good with that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, they're the Seagulls, you see, Brighton.
Oh,
you see.
okay, right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, that's a good little angle of what she's got ahead of her here, you.
Yeah, really, one thing in her favour, she's found a nice green patch of grass, so it is a little bit potentially more predictable, easier to generate spin on grass that isn't quite as baked out. Uphill lie, so that's good. Plenty of green to work with, so really I'd imagine this will start, if anything, maybe at the woman in the background with the yellow shirt. Along a similar line to that, it should kick left to right onto the putting surface. Kind of all depends on that first hop on the green. Pretty nicely done. And a birdie opportunity coming up for So-Yeon Yu. Maybe back-to-back birdies coming up.
Well, 2 very good tee shots. Make that 3 very good tee shots. Rosanna Norquist, the first player to have a hole-in-one at a Solheim Cup.
Back at Colorado Golf Club, I believe it was.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Well, she had 5 birdies in the first 7 holes. That's her first since then.
I thought it's me. Okay. Yeah. Am I right? Yeah. It's close. Yeah.
The one advantage from So-Yeon's perspective is that she saw it going by the hole. Not her finest putt.
Well, no birdies at any of the par 5s today for So-Yeon Yu. Feel like you've really missed out. All 3 within reach.
Yeah, as soon as you're not making birdies on the par 5, you're giving back maybe a third of a shot to nearly half a shot today on the field.
And Carrie Webb has birdied the first 2. In fact, her only birdies so far have come on those par 5s. To make a birdie 4 as well.
Everything really runs towards this section of the green on 16. And that's exactly what I was referring to. It's a real filter point, and on a couple of the greens around this golf course, mainly the ones down toward the ocean end of the golf club. They all run quite steeply away from some of the hole locations today. Assertively done. The maths equations on the flag. Pete Godfrey is on the bag for Carrie Webb, is a fan of putting a riddle in his book, and he usually throws a riddle his players' way during the day. And a real opportunity gone begging there for the young English woman.
It's been a quiet day. She's not played herself out of it for sure, Georgia, but not much really happening for her out there. A couple of birdies early on. Tiffany Joe, birdie at 10. A great chance at the par 5 11th as well. And she's top of the leaderboard. So the American heads the way now. 6 under par through 11 holes. Yeah, 5 pars, 6 birdies. And that's good enough to send Tiffany Joe to the top of the leaderboard ahead of the trio of Korean players. Aria Jitanagan with birdie at 17, Charlie Hull with a birdie at 16. They both moved into the group at -4. Is a really attackable hole location today. Bit of a false front, so as long as you can carry that, it should kick forward. We're stepping through that for Charlie Hull. And that just hitting into the bank. That's going to go back down towards Suo territory. We talk about the fairways being fast as well as the greens. Well, sometimes the fairways have a faster stimp than the greens themselves. Here's the leader, par 3 12th. Won some big amateur events, didn't she? This is going through the back of the green here. Not yet one on the main tour, though.
No, she has one on the Symetra, but not on the main tour. You're talking about back-to-back public links championships.
That's coming off the green, that one. See if Laura Davis at least can finish on a high. She's hit a big drive down here at 18, just a flick of a wedge in. Downhill, the par 4 18th. I think that she's hit that about 320 down there.
Blimey.
There, as I say, it's downhill and it's running a fair bit. Interesting, you passed me one of these cards. These are given to the LPGA players, are they? And it's got all different little tips for them, including basic Scottish. Now let's see this tee shot of area. Maybe I'll get into a bit of Scottish for you. Down the middle, so that's bro.
Aye.
Which apparently means that's good. Nice,
it means yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I means yes.
Aye.
But
yes.
bro.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know that one.
Yeah.
But the thing we were laughing about in player dining the other day was the local foods to try, and of course you've got haggis, shortbread, a couple iron brew. I can't pronounce some of the other ones, but Mars bars was on there.
Deep fried or not?
Well, it didn't say deep fried, but I presume that's what they meant, because that is a real staple of Scottish fair culture and food.
Now you can see that the men's tee is the bit of green that's further back, so same angle that the players are coming from.
Well, this tee box actually puts the bunkers straight into play for all of the women's players. There are a couple over on the right-hand side, and they're very steep. You don't really want to be in those. So a section of another 2 bunkers further down.
And they can't use a club less, because then they might not carry on that left-hand side.
Precisely. So Anna taking a bit more of a conservative play, but we have seen a lot of players left in the rough today, just really trying to get away from those bunkers. She liked it, just didn't get the carry on it.
Yeah, birdied the last 2 holes. Anna Norquist, she did make a 2 at the last, so she's at 1 under par. Georgia right now 1 under.
Needs to get lucky. It was leaking right. And that's not good.
Yeah, gobbled up in the sand.
And the problem with these bunkers is they're quite small. So when you come in off the fairway, that's usually when you get your really terrible lies up by the lip of the bunker.
He's got a good tan going, hasn't he?
Don't usually see many tans in Scotland. Cracking out the sunscreen.
Now, after 4 successive bogeys, steady. So this for a level par round of 71. Oh, Laura. Well, couldn't see this coming, could you? Earlier on in the round. On a high from the victory at the US Senior Women's Open, and 4 unanswered birdies the first 11 holes, and she finishes the round with 5 successive bogeys. That will hurt. 72, the score from Laura Davis.
I think it's going to be a quiet car ride home tonight. And taking a bit of a different approach here. We saw Suo pitch it up the green. Charlie Hull putter in hand. And an A+ from me. Beautifully done. Left it on the low side of the hole. Back to the American on 12.
She got another. She has, you know. Tiffany Joe on a run. 7 under par.
She was on Instagram last night trying to track down a surfboard for the weekend, and one of the guys that she messaged, who was a local, said, "You better not need to surf on the weekend," and at this rate she's not going to.
Well, she might get late enough tea time. She can go maybe Saturday or Sunday morning.
She would actually do that as well. She's probably the only player in golf that would consider it.
This is a bonus, isn't it, this kind of putt?
Oh, that, I mean, you're saving at least 1.5 shots, because that's 3-putt territory. I think she was paying for a read then. PayPal, maybe an option. Does her work with Jim Gormley out of Palos Verdes. Quite a few girls do the same. Lizette Salas also works with Jim.
Well, she's still got half a dozen holes to go. Norquist coming down the last. Came out of the light rough. Georgia having to come out sideways here. Thought she was going to go in the other bunker there for a moment.
Didn't get the best strike on it. It's interesting how off the tee, really that's where all of the damage is done on 18, because the green itself is actually quite benign. There's not too many swales, which can sometimes be a little bit harder to read when you've been on a hilly course and you've had one predominant slope to read the entire day, and you get to a flatter green and you've got no idea. Almost a perfect circle, the 18th green, just tucked back amongst all of the hospitality. But quite a difficult angle for Anna here, with the hole over on the left-hand side. You can see the pin just on the right edge of that bunker. To settle down off the backboard. She's literally got that one on the ropes.
Yeah, the good news, she doesn't have to play it from there.
No, and you know, I took a really good look at this green the other day, and there's a pretty favourable drop zone, so really if ever you're in doubt, you could err long and then hopefully get a decent line that drop zone and chip back from the back edge.
Good effort from So Yeon-yu.
It's something that, you know, English and Scottish players, but as well as Australian players, have been used to, is putting from off the green a lot. But then you have players that have grown up, you know, in parts of the world like Florida, where it's so grainy that you actually don't really get much opportunity to do so from around the greens in the more humid parts of the world. Looks like it's finally come down.
Do you know what? I don't think it actually went up.
There's nothing attached to the bottom of that, is there?
No.
Fooled me.
Well, this is a clever little shot, isn't it?
Just a little half swing for area.
Mopping up by Charlie Hull. Three back now, of course, with Tiffany Joe getting to 7 under par. Nice little spot behind the 18th green today. Third shot now for Georgia Hall, though.
It's going to be a popular drop zone on 18, it seems.
Well, Tiffany Joe putting on a show. 7 birdies, 5 pars, and with a 2-shot lead over Jenny Shin, Amy Yan and In Kyung Kim. Aria Jitanagan with a birdie chance. Can Aria join the players at 5 under? Charlie Hull as well, just about to come to 18. Sung Hyun Park stuck at the 3 under par mark. She was there early on, of course. Good to see Katrina Matthew. Haven't seen much of her today, have we, really? But putting together a very nice round. She's just birdied the par 5 16th to get herself into the group at 2 under. Daniela Iacobelli off to a really good start. She was 3 under through 2 holes. That's where she finished. Georgia Hall and Anna Norquist up against the grandstand at 18. And Camille Chevalier, who was Rookie of the Year last year on the Ladies European Tour, she's gone out in 33 shots. So well placed through just 9 holes of this opening round of the Ladies Scottish Open. Disappointing putt in the end from Area, but it's going to be a pretty solid base for this first round of the Ladies Scottish Open. It's a 67.
Still 3 birdies in the last 6 holes. So a solid finish. This is the situation over the back of 18.
It should be pretty straightforward now. Does she have to get in the drop zone?
I'd be amazed if she didn't choose to be honest with you, right now. I mean, you can see it in the distance. It's in the back. And it's not a supremely difficult up and down from over there. You'll have putter in hand. You don't even need to take a wedge out of the bag. There's another one over there. So maybe that's what they might be determining, which drop zone is actually closer. I'm not sure, because there's 2 drop zones, but
taking the bunkers out of the equation here, Charlie Hull.
I think it's a smart play, really. When you look at what's happened to Georgia Hall in particular, you know, obviously it's happened to quite a few people today, but there's a stat in the books called the cost of the missed fairway, and it's about 2.5 or 0.25 of a shot on 18 at the moment.
Yeah, that's just down the left side. Sticking to the fairway, just. There you go.
Not in front of it.
So she's opting for the club length relief instead, it seems.
Just down the left side.
It certainly looked like a left swing. We'll get confirmation on where that ended up. Such a fun finish though, coming back, flanked by the road really on that right hand side. It doesn't look as daunting when the shields are up on that right hand side, but I'm sure for some amateurs they've maybe come in close contact with a couple of automobiles over the years.
A few windscreens may have been damaged.
Certainly not in the production of this show today. None were harmed that we know of.
Shot.
Believe it or not, they're
You're not missing anything.
still trying to work this one out. Whitney Hillier having a tough day, playing alongside Tiffany Joe, so our cameras are there, so I've got a feeling this might be quite a good one.
Nicely done. She spends half her time back in Perth and then up in Lincoln, just a couple hours north of London, where her partner Ben Brewer and her coach Ben's father Stuart Brewer is based. Well, it looks like we're going to see a shot from the back of 18. No, just kidding. Back to Tiffany Joe.
Let's see if she can keep this remarkable run going. Here she is at 13. About the length she held on the last hole.
Similar line too, in fact.
Okay, ready to go at 18. I think Area's already showered and gone home.
palm, no foul, but it's going to be a drop shot for Georgia, giving her trouble off the tee in the fairway bunkers.
Disappointing day for Georgia Hall. Certainly not out of things, but level par in the end. And she got off to that birdie start. She couldn't have asked for more, but
downhill pretty much all the way for Anna. Just a little rise on her left that might come into play. It needs to settle.
Katrina Matthew just short of the green here at 17. Putter out. Sit down. Been a very steady day from Katrina.
That's almost expected.
True.
That's what she's known for. But I bet you there'd be a couple of local fans that wouldn't mind seeing some fireworks from the Scot come the weekend.
Well, she's inside the top 20 as it stands.
She got to her highest, well, equalled her highest ever world ranking after her win at Evian. Last year, got to world number 4.
What was the weather like when she finished up there?
I think tough is a good word for it.
Yeah, I think most of the players are pretty happy. That's heading back to a July placement now in the calendar. Well, 70 from the two-time major champion.
I feel like almost every player in the field's going to have that one round, you know, and if you can keep it just under par. I mean, if today's scoring's any indication of what's to come, we're going to be absolutely treated to some fantastic golf come the weekend, but it's all kind of dependent on the conditions as the days go on.
Well, I'm saying tomorrow we're going to have some tough rain coming our way, potentially. Now, Tiffany Joe, I'm sure she'll take 2 putts from here. No. I don't believe that. It's another birdie for Tiffany Joe. She can do no wrong. It's a magic wand she's got in her hand right now, isn't it?
Hold the phone. So, as I have it, that's 5 birdies in the last 6 holes.
Well, 4 in a row to start the back 9, 8 under par and leading by 3.
Having an absolute day out. See, that's how you do it. Then you don't have to take the drop. Might have scared a couple of spectators, though, if they weren't watching the ball.
Yeah. Charlie now. I mean, how about this round from Tiffany Joe? In all seriousness, I mean, those putts she's just knocked in at 12 and 13.
Well, in the last 2 holes alone, I think she's probably holed in excess of 80 feet of putt.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would want to hole that in one day. Over all 18 holes, not 2 holes. starting to hear the wind again in our mics out on the golf course as well. Died off for a little bit.
Yeah, good 2-putt from off the green from Katrina Matthew.
Really looking forward to seeing her as a captain. She's just unflappable in Solheim Cups. She actually had, I believe, her first ever professional win at Glen Eagles as well back in 1998, her first LET win. So she knows the area pretty well. Spectators have got it right, because you can sit out and you can watch the golf and then you can go straight to dinner on your way home in this part of the world. It's golf at any time the sun's shining.
Well, in fact, they can watch them come in here now and still manage to get 18 holes in afterwards if they wanted. There's enough choice around here, isn't there?
Not wrong. Just 21 golf courses in the area.
Well, Gullen itself, there's 3.
Yeah, we should mention we're actually playing a bit of a composite course of the number 1 and the number 2 course here at Gullen. The 14th and 15th hole where Tiffany Jo's headed. They're 7 and 8 from course number 2. And that's just more about tournament layout and trying to keep people condensed within, you know, a certain area on the property, as opposed to making them walk an extra 3 or 4 kilometres out the other way. Downhill, right to left.
A little up and then maybe down a bit then.
And that's not bad for So Yeon Yu.
It's going to be about 5 hours, 25 minutes for this 3-ball to complete their 18.
I wouldn't mind an early morning tea time. I think it was the first tea time out about 6:30. I think it was Bronte Law.
Yeah.
And she certainly...
Well, she said she didn't like the 4:30 alarm call.
You may as well stay up almost. Just kidding, of course, but Bronte with 3 under 68. And you know how everyone kind of analyses which side of the draw, and they have said that late early seems as though it will get the better of the weather. So the players on screen now. Apparently it's meant to be a little bit hairier tomorrow afternoon.
Well, this is for another of the 66s. Another work to do to even make 67. Well, she's 4 under, but with Charlie, it's... You feel like, you know, she's misread quite a few putts. It could easily be better.
Well, she had her chance out on 11, up short of the green, and walked away with a par on that par 5. And and really, it hasn't really cost her any shots. And I think that's been the key for Charlie today is the putts that she was missing. Well, sadly they were for birdie, but they weren't for par. Just the 2 bogeys on the card. 6 birdies. To finish with a little flair for Kari Webb. Just a little tap in required. Here this week on a sponsors invite, Kari Webb. This is one of the events that goes off the money list on the LPGA as opposed to the priority list that's sometimes used to determine the fields each week. So as a result, what that means for us is we're getting the most informed players.
Yeah, of course, Kari second on the all-time career money list. Well done. Good save in the end. Level par back 9 after that brilliant start. Right there though, Charlie Hull, 4 under par, good to see.
What an entertaining human being, both on and off the golf course. And a round of 69 for South Korea's former world #1, So Yeon-yu. Should correct that, not Ritsuka. They head to scoring. I think if you told me, Richard, at the start of the day that there'd be an 8 under out there in, a club to 2 clubs of wind, I'm not sure I would have believed you given the setup.
Well, it's been an extraordinary run of scoring. 5 birdies in the last 6 holes. Of course, 8 in the 13 that she's played. Where's it going to end for Tiffany Joe? 3-shot lead right now. Area Jatanagan and Charlie Hull joining the group in with rounds of 67. Leanne setting the early